All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. All right, chat. Do you have any mid-session questions or comments that I might theoretically answer, or anything for the players? So
I
just
think the
talk.
only thing that
Go ahead.
they want is for me to stop listening to rap.
Now, they probably also want to know why Joseph threw all the anarchs under the bus.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What rap are you listening to?
I was listening to Biggie earlier.
Alright.
Now I'm actually not listening to rap right now. I'm listening to John LGWI. Can't pronounce his name. But yeah, Joseph really likes to drive the bus. He likes to put people under it, though.
Listen, as long as he's in the driver's seat, he doesn't care who's getting thrown under.
Well, in his defense, Byron was not going to let it go unless he was given a reason. I mean, Joseph could say, "I don't think we should do this," all he wants, and he's going to say, "Well, there's he's. I mean, because as far as Byron knows, Jermaine is a loose cannon. So there needed to be context. So I'm not sure if Joseph could have not given him details and had the problem go away at all. Not that they're even away by a long stretch at this point."
At the moment, David is honestly considering supporting Marlena just to get on the Anarch's good side and to keep their territory that way.
So David isn't, out of character, but David isn't worried that the domain will be reapportioned by Marlena?
He's considering that, but honestly, with the power they've recently gotten and the possibility that they might support Marlena, he doesn't see that as too big of a risk. The much bigger risk in his eyes are the fact that she will be a weak as shit prince. And despite David recognizing that the Anarchs have a few good points, he respects strong authority. He thinks that's the right way to go.
Basically, all Marlena will be is just a mouthpiece for Boss Callahan.
Or whoever else is manipulating her.
At the moment, it's just the Anarchs right now.
So were there
We assume.
I heard discussion about Joseph throwing the Anarchs under the bus. Was there any questions about that?
No questions.
We had no questions. We understand. You just like driving the bus.
He's gotten taser power. No, it wasn't. I didn't even think about it really as telling them anything that they didn't know. The only thing that he told them was that they were. The only thing that he told them that they didn't already know was that there were Anarchs bullying police officers. That's the only thing he told David that wasn't already openly known.
Right, and as I was saying, is that Byron would not have let it go had you not mentioned why Jermaine was doing what he was doing, because there had to be that context there for Byron to understand it. Because otherwise, for all he knows is that Sevalot's still alive, and Jermaine is working for him, taking over people on the surface, which is bad news bears all around. So.
Yeah, all he really did, besides that, which you can see as, okay, maybe that's a bit of throwing him under the bus, that said, unless he's directly questioned about it, it's very nebulous what he's claiming at the moment. That said, everything else was just confirming what we already know.
Yeah, and I'll say again, in your defense, I don't think there's any throwing under the bus here either, because let's just say you hadn't said anything about the Anarchs. Well, Byron would have gone through with it, and sooner or later, the Anarchs would have gotten pissed and done something. I mean, the brown mushy stuff would have hit the rotary blade, as they say, and so we would have been back at square one. And then if it came out that, well, we told Joseph it would have caused more trouble down the road. So I think it was
Wait, what's this about throwing chocolate into a buzzsaw?
It's a fun party game. You should try it.
Well, wouldn't that get, all kinds of shit on the walls?
You do it outside. and you have like a chocolate pit, and that's where the girls in bikinis wrestle.
But what if there's
That's
a
how
stray
you do it
dog?
here,
And
anyway.
the
And
dog could eat the
you're just
chocolate
paying
and get
the
poisoned.
span from the sky.
I don't know. This seems a little bit contrived to me.
So, the session.
So, session.
Aaron's being sneaky. Excuse me, David's being sneaky.
Oh, it looks like my token's disappeared. Or...
He's that sneaky.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, he's there. It's just map's pretty big. Yeah, it doesn't look like this Lacha notices you even when you get that close. Too busy going, ah, maybe I should just leave you down there. You bastard!
Push him.
So, are you still blood bonded to him?
What? Yeah, Zlacha just suddenly wheels around.
Shh. Calm down.
Hey, raise the gloves. I don't want to, I don't want to. It begins slowly backpedaling. I don't want any trouble.
Right, David is going to try and good cop this with the clear threat that it might become bad cop. I don't want any trouble either. So, tell me, are you still blood bonded?
I've blood, what?
David will just sort of, gaze at him with his red eyes. Do you still feel the connection?
He ends up backpedaling even more, so much so that he loses his footing and falls down into the pit.
Can David try and catch him?
If David wants to try to catch him, sure. Give me a dexterity plus athletics at difficulty 8. David manages to catch onto the Zlacha's arm, and with all those successes, so hard that the frail arm snaps off at David.
Are you serious?
Ah! You hear a faint, wait, what? Ah! And then a...
David's just gonna sort of stare dumbfounded at this fucking arm.
It twitches in David's hands like it's trying to grab onto the Nosferatu who attempted to save it.
David will toss it down into the pit.
Falls for a few seconds and then a soft thud.
And the rope, wasn't there a rope with the bucket?
Yeah, it looks like they had rigged up some sort of crude pulley system, probably for the bucket mainly, to get, the dirt up there, but also so that they themselves wouldn't have to fall all the distance.
Right. David's going to make sure that the pulley is locked at the moment.
Yep.
Then David's going to try and slide down the rope.
Okay. There's no need for a roll for that, but I will need you to copy your token again, because we're going to another map.
It's copied.
Alright. Let me know whenever you've loaded the new map, Aaron.
It is low. Go ahead and point out where you want me to stick it.
Somewhere within the 2x2 brown square area. Apparently, as David eases his way down, this Lotcha impact created some sort of a cave-in, I guess you could say, since they were trying to break into here, wherever here is, and the collision combined with the earlier damage the first Lotcha must have taken whenever it fell, combined with falling again even further, they're both dead. As for David, he manages to ease himself all the way down the rope and land on a large pile of dirt in a locale with a marble floor which seems reminiscent of being inside Civilod's mansion. Over here, to this direction, there is a door, a large door, that appears to have no portal or way to open it. It's just like a large sheet of red metal.
Well, David's going to sort of mentally curse it about how, hilariously slapstick that moment was.
Alright. Beyond the bits of dirt, you get into a room here, and with David's eyes of the beast, he can see just fine. The creepy decorations carved into the walls, which are really difficult to discern, because unlike with the first floor that David was on with the rest of the coterie, and they were marble walls, these walls are the same color as the rock, an ink black, which creates a very disorienting effect.
Alright. Well, David's going to creep forward. I think that at this point, there's not much need for stealth anymore.
Perhaps not, no.
Or at least not stealth to keep people from knowing that he's here, more just to keep them from knowing where in here he is. And he'll move still invisible, but not overly quiet to check out what's in those little side rooms.
It looks like these sort of diamond areas contain various whips, hooks, cleavers. The blood contained on these appears to be very dried, and with David's sort of vampiric senses, it smells old, very old. These sort of side rooms have broken glass. Appears that it was shattered by someone from the outside. Perhaps there was some sort of containment cells or chambers. Old dried blood lingers on the interiors of them as well.
Alright. And all of those cells are pretty much empty aside from that?
They are empty, yes.
Alright, then David's going to continue on down here.
As David progresses, I'll go ahead and describe it first before I reveal more. This over here is, along this section of the ink black wall, is an opulent painting set in a gilded frame. It is a full portrait of a haughty man who appears to be in his mid-20s, set against a dark background. He is clad in decadent finery with a firm brow, aquiline nose, and a strong chin. And the exceptional detail in the work, David's not exactly that familiar with artwork. It might be more Marcus's terrain, but definitely he can see great craftsmanship when he looks at it. It hints at the powerful physique just beneath the clothes. Sitting in a chair, his hands in his lap, his body frozen in time, he stares at you with a confident smirk on his generous lips. Now, over here, this bit of purple right there. Against that wall is a small sheet of parchment, fixed with a nail at the top. Written with a quill pen, the flowing script spells out 4 English words. We are all experiments.
All right. So I assume each of these purple markings is a different display piece.
Yes. Further on down, there are actually 3 other portraits. The second one that David comes to, it appears to be as finely made as the first, depicting who might be the same subject, although he clearly looks different. Now in his early 30s, the man posing on the canvas has become pale, ashen, perhaps losing his color to the stresses of life. The noble features have become almost feral, the skin thinner as if the water fat is gone, the veins in his near-black eyes incredibly defined. Still, he remains calmly posed in the chair, hands in his lap and that same smug smirk right on his face. With the third one, it's also in a gilded frame and against the dark background, but what it depicts appears to be some sort of human-monster hybrid. Now hairless and nude, the man, if you could call him that, stands facing you, arms outstretched, inviting you to take a closer look. The pale skin has taken on a gray cast, and it appears to be thicker with a glistening sheen. The eyes have lost their definition, the iris and pupil melting together into a solid pool of black. The well-defined body also appears to have new additions, a graft along the left shoulder creating some sort of bone shell around it, elongated fingers for the right hand which have made it some sort of claw, and so forth. What hasn't changed, however, is the expression on his lips. Still, he smirks. And the final painting along the wall is a blank, black background set in a gilded, golden frame.
David will sort of mentally label that series of paintings as the Metamorphosis of Vsevolod Červený.
The room that Aaron walks into now is perhaps the most opulent, the idealist cop turned Nosferatu has seen in his entire life. Each one of these individual pillars of yellow are actually solid gold, extending up perhaps 30 feet into the air to reach the ceiling. The same is true of these, which are silver pillars, and back here, bronze as well. The red carpet continues, rising up a staircase until it terminates at a throne made entirely of black quartz. As if it were carved straight from some massive deposit and placed right here.
Well, David will give it a good look over, but he's sure as hell not going to touch it.
Of course, the ink-black walls continue around, and with David's keen eye for detail, the creepy and haunting depictions that were up on the first floor that David saw whenever he made his raid with Theo and the coterie still exist. And David rolled exceptionally well on his perception plus alertness that I just rolled. He notices something else. Attached to the ceiling above the black quartz throne, which itself is raised up on a dais, like 15 feet in the air, is an opaque, oval-shaped thing, colored purple and over twice your size. It is not moving and does not appear to react to you noticing it.
David's going to see if he can somehow mentally address the rock inside of him and just sort of think, What is that? Does he get any response?
Nope, no response. For a long time, and then a minute passes, and there's a quiet voice, the same one that David heard from who was apparently an after effect of Sebald Cervini. It says, "Oh."
Oh.
I'm going to be honest with you, for I am honest with all of my experiments, and I've treated them with the utmost gravity that the situation demanded. Besides, as it turns out, being separated from your beast for 500 years can create a sense of tedium which you have to replace with something else. I have no idea how this is going to go.
So what's happening here?
With that, the cocoon begins to move. It moves apparently because while suspended from the ceiling, it suddenly apparently is made of some sort of hardened flesh, perhaps even bone. A hole is smashed through it by a blood-soaked fist, and fluids begin dripping down from the cocoon and onto the black quartz throne.
David's gonna take a step back and, let's say he'll duck behind a pillar and turn invisible. Dude, he's afraid. He's fucking scared as shit.
I know. I just, it's fair reaction. The cocoon just sort of ends up getting blasted apart, turning into nothing more than fluid that goes flying across the room. And from its interior, who now drops down onto the floor, is a nude, hairless... Comparing the two versions, you would say that would be the real-life action version of Sebald Cervini, who is looking right at you.
This is a moment where, if David still had biological functions, he'd shit himself.
The alien is completely covered in the fluids and blood itself. Slime and ichor dripping all over its rubbery skin. It appears to be in its vaguely humanoid shape that David saw and interacted with last session. It's perilous and has some curious sort of spike things on its head and that have apparently replaced its ears, but it has 2 arms and 2 legs. And it is still very much looking right at David, and inside David's head, he feels a radiating wave of, well, this has never happened before. It's telepathy. Ah, experiment. So you're the one who found me. And Sebald proceeds down the stairs. Apparently the little bounce that Dream Sevalod has when the monochrome thing is slightly levitating above the ground. That's with this one, too. The gait seems almost jovial. Still in your head. Come now. Don't be shy. You've come so far.
I'm just holding up my end of the bargain.
You're it. Oh, of course, of course, of course. The alien tilts its head to, you get the sense that it's looking in within you. How's it going in there, me? I knew that was such a good idea when I did it ever so long ago. It's yielded such rich results. What? Pray tell, what have I told you?
What?
What have I told you? What has he told you, rather? Little
About
K-Knight.
what?
About this, about everything, about what you are now. The potential.
Said I'm an experiment, that I can embrace it and become a monster like that snowman. That will ask me to keep doing tasks as long as I'm alive.
The alien nods. Yes. Yes. She was quite a beautiful creature, she was. So dedicated and so broken. The alien cocks its head. You know a little bit about being broken, don't you, Nosferatu?
David will tilt his head at that, then sort of stand up straight and stick out his jaw. What, on account of my pretty face?
Don't give me that sweet talk now. You know I know about you. Why, after all, you're the one who triggered all of that lovely, wonderful, juicy information to go straight into my hands. Why, indeed, you were the primary inspiration behind why I had... Oh, poor Dmitri. Why, I had him send you that disc. And as I turned out, it affected you so much, you lost control of your own beast. And am I not honorable, just, trustworthy? I have not touched anyone in your family, not your beautiful wife, not your precious child, and never sent it to your beloved Theo.
Well, I don't know about those adjectives, but you've at least kept your word so far.
And I plan on continuing, especially since you have become the experiment. The hairless brow wiggles a little.
So are you going to ask me to do some kind of abhorrent shit? Because if so, I'll just tear it out and be done with it.
The fiend raises one of its clawed hands to its rubbery chin and actually stops looking at you directly, looking up at the vaulted ceiling. It would be interesting to see you actually attempt to do that. It has been a long time since someone has actually committed final death and killed himself by ripping out the heart. And there will always be other little gay knights who need help because they're desperate and afraid, and they're being hunted by matters and powers they can't fathom, and being suspected of being in cahoots, to quote a modern phrase I've just recently learned, with the antediluvians of all people, and they're going to cause ivory tower. So rich, like the little ones. He immediately stops laughing and looks at you. I like an experiment, though, and it would be a shame if it went to waste. I won't ask anything of you right now, and nothing evil in report, but I would like you to walk with me for a little, if you don't mind. I need to get my legs back as they were. Sort of kicks the rubbery legs, still hovering like 4 inches in the air.
Fine. You want to walk? Let's walk.
Splendid! Sevillon turns and begins progressing this way. Around the raised dais, and as it hovers, it calls back in your head. So, what'd you think about what you've seen down here?
Can David tell if that's the stone asking him or real-life Sevillon asking him?
Real-life Sevillon has been talking in your head the entire time.
Alright. He'll sort of answer. It's baroque, terrifying, and clearly obsessive.
Well, you are the first one besides me to see it, and Sevillon pauses. Looks at the ceiling again. No, probably, oh, I don't remember. It's not important. Come, take a look at this. My experiment. This, and to here, I'll go ahead and begin revealing the few tiles. Appears to be a narrow stairwell down. On either side of that are 2 more strips of parchment, hanging from either end. Affixed as the prior one was. The one closest to David says, I'll actually go ahead and type it out before I say it. True comprehension exists in the minutiae. And the parchment to the right says nothing is sacred. Now, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means that the details are where true understanding is, and or rather that you don't understand something until you understand the details, and that nothing is off limits. Nothing. basically. The only limitations are the ones you set for yourself. And, you can't understand things in mere general terms.
I imagine you don't agree with that philosophy, do you, oh dedicated idealist?
Some things are sacred.
You seem so willing to compromise to save your friends, you would call them.
David will look at him flatly and say, some things are more sacred than other things. Here, just a second, I'm getting a phone call.
That's fine. You're just like, hold on. Someone's like, what's the cell phone? How do you get reception down here anyway?
The reception on those World of Darkness cell phones is amazing.
Absolutely
Subway,
amazing.
half a mile underground.
Good moment to be frozen in, right, guys?
Seems like someone butt-dialed me.
You know, and of course he's still radiating his thoughts into your head. They always do come up with something like that, no matter how deranged or frothing or skirting the edges of their via humanitas. Some things are more sacred than others. The Fiend gives what David can only best interpret as a playful shrug.
Don't you have priorities? What's sacred to you? The experiment? Knowledge? Metamorphosis?
Sevalod tuts, hovers over, and actually points at the parchment. And it reads the same thing. Nothing is sacred. But I suppose you haven't lived long enough to understand that just yet. Maybe I'll... And then, the mouth opens, revealing, all of the sharp, white teeth. I'll give you that chance. So, how... I've been a little indisposed. How have affairs up above ground gone since... Sevalod just gestures all around him.
Well, some flesh-crafted monstrosities wrecked up Elysium, and, you're dead, apparently.
Sevalod nods. I've known that for longer than really anyone in the city has been alive. I've been dead. Nods in self-affirmation.
That you've reached final death.
No. As if little warlocks could do. I will admit, they They pulled off a close one. I lost many, many valuable assets. I will miss Dmitri and Pavel and Zasha and... Sevlad actually ends up letting out an audible sigh as opposed to one in your head. But, as it turns out, they apparently never quite figured out their way down here, and even if they could, Sevlad points up above the black quartz where the remnants of the cocoon are still hanging. They wouldn't have broken through that anyway.
David taps his chin as he looks at it, and then tries to change the subject. So, did you embrace Jermaine Wallace?
Sevlad blinks. Is that important to you, little experiment?
A bit.
Why?
He's been making motions towards our territory.
Oh? Sevlad actually ends up leaning against the wall, still hovering. Like what? I am interested.
Ghouling police commissioners showing up at our workplaces before we've woken up. Things like that.
Sevlad looks to his left, looks to its right, looks back at you, and the head speaks. You're not afraid of mortals, are you? Even without what my experiment has given you, you should be able to handle them, right?
I thought that true comprehension existed in the minutiae. While one mortal might be minute, the real point is the systems they end up forming.
That is fair. They were a trouble in my time, as they are now. Masquerade. It still has its merits, even after all this time.
You didn't answer my question.
No, I didn't.
Are you going to?
Depends.
David will frown and raise an eyebrow.
Nothing is sacred, but I do not so easily let go of my normal tenets and practices. I'm not predisposed to giving out knowledge one way or the other. It would be unbecoming of me to mentally assist you, little canine. But everything does have a price.
I mean, I don't care that much. I was just curious.
No, of course, you were trying to change the subject.
David will frown harder and narrow his eyes.
Sevlad stares back at you.
David stares back at him.
Sevlad continues to hover there. Apparently he Even while remaining still against the wall, he shifts along the Z-axis by like an inch or two up and down.
David just keeps staring back.
What? Do I... And Sevlot actually raises a claw up to tap at his cheek. Have something there, a little bit of the blood perhaps, some slime ichor. Maybe I make you think of how vulnerable everyone you hold dear is. After all, if I hold nothing sacred, then that must mean that trustworthiness is not something I care about either, right?
I mean, you definitely don't care about hypocrisy. Saying you don't like to spread around information, but you're quite willing to pluck it out of people's heads.
What's hypocritical about that?
Well, it's holding yourself to one set of rules and holding everyone else to another.
Do we not do that anyway?
Do we?
Yeah. Sevlot tilts its head and gives you a condescending look. Really?
David just raises an eyebrow.
All right, experiment. You've had your fun and managed to unreveal me. Quite entertaining. Now I tell you what I'm going to do for you. And Sevlot extends its hand.
David looks at the hand.
And, Sevlot ends up making David fall unconscious. Because he beat the fuck out of that Wits plus Subterfuge roll. And the sort of internal command is planted, and David will know this. Just hears that quiet, chilling whisper. You will not tell anyone about me. You will say that I have met final death. You found my ashes. Had a friend auspex them. If you somehow ever find the gumption, I like that word, gumption, the drive maybe from my past self to break this.
User in your channel timed out.
You will time out.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Sevlot did kill that roll,
User
right?
was moved to your channel.
Yep, he killed it. Welcome back, Aaron.
Perfect timing.
I know. He's just like, shit, leave. If you somehow, perhaps through my
You don't
past
need to kick me.
shade, that's fine. You don't need to be in the server right now. Find a means to get past this command. Final death will not be something that ever comes for you. And then David will black out, and he will find himself awakening an indeterminate amount of time later, outside the shack, on the surface. And you should be able to rejoin the map now.
Well, David's gonna have himself a little think, it seems. I mean, on the one hand, he doesn't necessarily have to explicitly tell someone. He could send a message with his death, perhaps.
It's possible that someone might interpret the death like that, yeah.
Especially since he just told Theo Bell where he's going. If he can find Theo Bell and tear the stone out of his chest in front of him, that'll probably drive the point home pretty well.
And if what the stone said was correct, now that you've freed this obligation, you don't have the burden to find Savalot anymore because you found him. You should actually be able to commit suicide just fine, although you've never actually tried to attempt it.
What? No, I tried all the time. Are you kidding me?
I mean, you are Nosferatu, it makes sense.
Note to self, make a Nosferatu who sleeps during the day by hanging himself from his neck until dead.
I have to put it to you this way, you're already dead.
Ah, but can you get deader?
You're already deadest.
Sunblood probably already made that experiment. You should ask him next time you talk to him.
Did you want to continue voicing out David's thoughts out loud, or did you want to
Sure.
internalize it and think?
I mean, he's also considering the fact that he might be able to tell Theo Bell that there are Slotcha who are trying to dig down into the mansion's basement to find Sevalod, without actually spelling out explicitly whether or not he found anything.
You definitely feel a sort of a brief twinge, and then David's body is immediately brought down to its knees as a searing flashes of pain, like he's being set on fire, course through his system for a few seconds, and then it stops.
Son of a bitch. Maybe he could just make himself seem really fucking suspicious. Make people think he's under some kind of influence and investigate it themselves.
Perhaps. How would David attempt to even get started? He knows his coterie. He knows how observant they are or not, and him being a Nosferatu, he naturally seems suspicious all the time anyway, right?
Yeah, they can't catch on to anything.
I mean, they do need David Green's help for things. They can't help him.
I was going to check what time it is.
Oh, oh goodness. It is 4:30.
And sunrise is...
Basically in an hour, 70 minutes.
Well, he can definitely get back to a story in that amount of time.
Yeah, he sure can.
Son of a bitch. Alright, well, David's going to head back to his haven now then.
Okay. Okay. David returns to his haven. Actually ends up finding a note on the exterior, like, front door of his haven. And come to think of it, he checks cell phone. Obviously the phone didn't ring, and he definitely did apparently miss a call from an unlisted number. There's a voicemail.
He'll play the voicemail.
And there's a sort of wheezing and crackling sound as the voicemail clicks to life. It sounds like Gerard. David, you're going to love this, apparently so much that you're not here. I even peeped in around, see if maybe I could catch you by lurking around your cameras. Spoke with Carter. Said he'd be more than willing to support the Nosferatu. Not even that, but he'd make you sheriff too. But if you want to do that, gonna have to find a way to take care of Marlena. Think about that. We'll have our domain secured by a trustworthy Malkavian. So long as you take care of the only possible contender for the prince. Think about it. And the voicemail ends. I just blew everyone's mind.
Why can't anything ever...
Marcus and Byron don't know this.
Yep.
What Byron does, he bugged David's phone.
That's right, Sevalod clearly told Byron in a dream where David slept at night, or during the days.
Oh yeah, Byron's known for like 10 sessions now. He's
Totally.
just that awesome.
Does David settle himself down to fall asleep?
He definitely locks himself in his haven, but he's probably going to be alternately pacing around, taking his frustration out on innocent inanimate objects, that sort of thing.
Apparently they aren't sacred. They're not sacred.
They're not going to stay innocent after this.
Alright then. Then morning comes, sunshine and happy cats. Everyone is safe and secure, in theory. It's a beautiful Monday. And time passes. Eventually it gets dark. Eventually it's night. All of you awaken. And all four of you, including David, lose a point of blood in the process.
David's going to check his chest, see if that fucking heartbeat is still going.
Still pulsing. Doesn't even have to put a hand there. He can sort of feel it in his otherwise dead, cold body.
Huh.
that David can definitely feel that it's still there, along with that overwhelming sort of compulsion to not tell anyone about what he saw down there. As for Joseph, Joseph actually awakes to something interesting. It's Craig, who's holding up a newspaper and sort of peeks his head in and says, excuse me, Joseph, sorry, I know you're just, sorry to interrupt, but you said you were looking into someone, Roy Dufford, right?
Yeah.
Take a look at this. And Craig hands Joseph the newspaper.
Joseph will take it and read it.
It's not a large article, but it's just it was apparently an interesting piece of news. Apparently Roy Dufford has had a change of mind. Not only has he refused to become the next deputy inspector with 114 precinct, but he's actually retired from the police force altogether, citing that it's come to his attention, especially after his good friend Vargas died, that some things are more important, and he's vowed to spend the rest of his time, his life with his family.
Joseph will smile. Then he'll start looking for who the next inspector is.
They actually don't have that in the newspaper. They're not sure. Once they pretty much had him locked in, he was a sure lock-in for the position. And now they apparently, Dominic Gressman is going to have to sift through and try to find a new replacement. Roy Dufford was a good guy, and it would have been impossible to replace Mikhail Vargas, but the commissioner says, this is it's an unfortunate situation, but they can be respected. Well, begin the search immediately.
Well, that didn't go as I wanted at all, but I guess I can see him doing that. Oh, fuck, he should have talked to me sooner.
I mean, you did a number on him. He did not have enough willpower.
No, not only did you do a number on him, you also went up there and was totally mafia on him.
Yeah, the mafia comes up to you and gives you nightmares. I mean, literally invades your dreams. That is probably gonna terrify the shit out of you.
He decided he was not enough of a hard ass for the job. Like, if Vargas had to deal with this, no wonder he died of a heart attack. Fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, those nightmares are still gonna be haunting him for at least a month, I think. Maybe longer.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. It really is.
By the sound of that, it looks like it was like a...
Just saying why it was a good idea?
Well, the idea was Joseph... Okay. Out of character, it was a really bad idea. In character, it was the only thing Joseph could do. Because Joseph has certain things that he has to make sure is done properly because of the way he ended up being embraced and the way he ended up with that. So out of character, yeah, it was a terrible idea. But in character, it was the only way he could handle the situation.
Good news, though, is that the replacement may not have a wife and kids, so you might have less compunction with grueling him.
There's also the problem with that is Dominic Gressman, well, it's not really a problem for Joseph, is that Dominic Gressman is under the control of Jermaine.
Yeah, not yet.
Why is that not a problem for Joseph?
Yeah, the fact that it's Jermaine's a problem for Joseph.
Well, no, I mean, Gressman he's the commissioner for basically all of northern Queens, including Flushing.
Well, he's saying because Joseph doesn't mind the fact that he's under the control of the Anarchs, which is true.
Gotcha.
And the commissioner doesn't exactly involve himself in, like, the day-to-day affairs of each precinct, but with what Joseph reads, among his other duties, he would be responsible for vetting and appointing the next deputy inspector of Astoria.
Well, 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 well. And I don't suppose David knows this yet.
No, he doesn't have a ghoul to give him the news, although David has certainly taken pains to look through news in the past. It's Joseph who's currently standing there with a newspaper in his hand.
Right.
Well, that said, after he smiles, thinks about it, he'll give everyone a call.
Craig leaves. Thinks it could have gone worse.
Oh, it could have gone a lot worse. He made a guy love his family a little more.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all he did. Nothing more. He didn't shatter his mind or anything like that.
What are you talking about? He didn't make a guy love his family more. He made a guy so afraid of work that he decided to hide behind his family instead. He might have broken their household. Does his wife earn money?
Oh, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Come on. Let's not get nitpicky.
Okay, so maybe there's bad sides to it too. There are some bad sides, but he was doing it for the greater good.
He was doing it for his own selfish ends.
True, but his own selfish ends are literally he wants the fewest people to die. That's his ultimate goal.
Listen, Joseph of Malkavian, he's been justifying eating other people's souls since he became a vampire.
That's fair.
He is very good at justifying very bad things now.
Now, stabbing that guy in the spine, that one was hard, but everything else.
Yeah, he'll go ahead and give everyone a call, a group call.
Everyone gets a group call as they're arising to begin their night.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hey, so the fuck.
Deputy Inspector Roy Dufford.
The Deputy Inspector Roy Dufford quit.
That's a little
do
odd.
that?
That's his prerogative. I mean, we weren't going after him anyways.
Yeah, so
Do you think that Germain, the commissioner, putting pressure on him?
I don't know.
well
You were the last, weren't you the last one to talk to him? Like, you talked to him, Joseph. What was he like?
yeah, I did talk to him a little bit.
Wait, you talked to him?
Yeah, I wanted to get a sense of who he was. I mean, he's, whatever the case may be, he's the
What'd you
Deputy
tell him?
Inspector. I didn't tell him anything. I just talked to him,
About what?
about Vargas, said that I was a friend and that Vargas and I talked, and that was about it. And that was...
We can have a manipulation plus subterfuge resisted roll versus perception plus empathy from everyone else on the phone.
Does trained observer apply here?
No. It's a phone conversation.
I got 3 successes.
What was that? Was that wits plus empathy, you said?
No, perception plus empathy.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just missed it.
Damn it! I got 3 successes, and Aaron got 3 successes.
5 successes, unless well-reasoned counts, and it probably doesn't here.
All right. Sounds like Joseph's telling the truth.
I was just talking to him about, I mean, he's chief inspector. I've got to, there's no way I'm not going to talk to him, especially with Vargas. I don't know what's going on there, or anything like that. But, so...
Except for the fact that he oversees Astoria, not Flushing.
Yeah, Astoria is my domain, too. I'm not worried about Flushings. My Haven and Flushing's secure, as secure as I want.
I'm worried about a murderer talking to the person who oversees the security where I keep my Haven.
Me, a murderer. That's the one thing that's terrible. You don't think that's something I jeez.
I don't give a fuck how guilty you feel for it. I don't trust you handling the police here.
So you think you're better handled to ghoul the police?
Than a man who stabbed a drunk driver in the back of the neck? Yes.
So you've never killed anyone?
I've never done it in cold blood.
Oh, you think that was in cold blood? You think I thought about that and decided it was? You don't think that wasn't that little bit of anger that you seem to know so well?
I could almost understand if it was because you lost control of your beast. But apparently, you were quite a bit in control of yourself. You want to blame it on being a Malkavian, on being a vampire? Fine.
No, I don't want to blame it on being a Malkavian or a vampire. I want to blame it on the fact that he nearly killed one of my best friends.
I don't give a fuck. I don't trust you to handle this kind of thing.
And so we're supposed to trust you?
You don't have to. But that doesn't change the fact that I don't trust you. I don't expect you to be malicious. I don't expect you to lie. But you've shown that you have the capacity to be terrifyingly cruel, and that you are a murderer. If the situations were different, if we were mortals,
if we were mortals, if I did that when I was mortal, any period up until first met my maker, you know what I would have done? I would have called the police and sat there. You know why I didn't this time? Because sadly, I've got more terrifying things to deal with, and I've got
I don't care. You killed an innocent man for no real reason. And that's cast your ability to make good judgments into doubt for me ever since. It's not about your ability to control yourself even. It's the fact that you can do something like that and just rationalize it away. Makes me think you're a broken person. How the fuck can you pretend to be a priest?
It's funny how everyone gives up on it after they die. But, I didn't. You think we're not all broken in some way? You think you're perfectly whole? You think you make all the best decisions?
No, I'm not saying I'm perfect. God damn it, don't put fucking words in my mouth. I'm saying that you're a broken shithole. What the fuck? Don't start saying that we're all on the same levels. You murdered an innocent man. You're just trying to rationalize it away again. Trying to maintain your self-image. Trying to maintain our image of you. I haven't had a positive image of you since that happened. Since I found out about it.
And see, that's the thing. I don't care about what you think about me. The point that I care about is the safety of everyone in this city.
Well, you know what? I care about not having a murderer influencing the police in my neighborhood.
Oh, that's great. If you really care so much, you always have the option to move.
I have a few options besides that, too.
Oh, are you threatening me now?
No. You'll know if I'm threatening you.
Oh, yeah, I will certainly know when you're threatening me. Just hang up.
And as he was the one who was hosting the group call, everyone gets hung up.
Yes.
Oh, Byron hung up in the middle of that. But I
sent Grimith a message. I'm like, do I have to roll something to stealthily leave the call?
Oh, no. You're so stealthy, Not even the storyteller noticed.
Marcus is gonna dial Byron.
Love the way you said that. Marcus is gonna dial Byron.
Yeah, and Byron's gonna look at the number. If it had been either Joseph or David, he would have screamed it, but it's like, all right, what's up, Marcus? Are you hearing what I'm hearing?
I'm hearing that the Malkavian and the Nosferatu are mad at each other for some reason. On one hand, I can understand David's thing. Joseph did murder that guy. On the other hand, Joseph is kind of, made up for it in the recent memory. But then, I don't know.
Man, I'll tell you, to be honest, all right, one's a Nosferatu, no idea what's going through his head 75% of the time. So, I don't know. Trust is hard with any Nosferatu, but at least this one is, quote, our Nosferatu, maybe. Who knows? And the other one's a Malkavian. Again, who the fuck knows what's going on through his head? And he has shown that he's gone off the reservation several times. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't hold that murder against him too much anymore. I get it. I mean, it's not what I would have done, and it disgusted me at the time, but I don't think he's some kind of axe-wielding serial killer. And, I see both their points. I just don't know what it spells for the coterie going forward.
Well, have either of us told either of them that Dominic Gressman is a ghoul?
Speaking as the storyteller, no, you didn't.
I think we need to tell someone that Dominic Gressman has been ghouled, and probably by Jermaine. Speaking of Dominic Gressman, we need to do something about him before he decides to, before Jermaine decides to put some mercenary friend of his in charge in Astoria.
Jeez. Now, if only texting were about now, that would be perfect, because Byron does not want to call either one of them up.
Then don't.
Tell you what. How about I'll call Joseph, you call David, and that way they don't have to be on the same phone line with each other, and we'll let them know, and we'll. I don't know. I was going to say we could all meet at Astoria Estates, but I don't know if they'll be civil there. So
I mean, speaking as the storyteller, Joseph and David already had reason to suspect that Dominic Gressman was going to be ghoulified, if not already, then very soon. So it's not like, to quote something that was said earlier, it's not like you're telling him anything new, right?
Oh yeah, it's just it's not going to be a big deal. If you tell them both at the same time, I guess we could call up a group call and we could just make sure they don't get in a shouting match again. What do you want to do?
On one hand, I want to tell them. On the other hand, I don't want to deal with either of them, and I just kind of want to, go to Elysium and tell the Archon what the hell's going on.
Fuck it. You know what? I don't either. Let's just go to Elysium. We'll talk to Theo Bell. We'll call them after. Maybe after an hour or two has gone by, they'll not be up in each other's grill as much.
One can hope, Byron. One can hope.
So we know what Byron and Marcus will be doing. Joseph and David. We'll start with Joseph first. So you just had that heated phone call. It got all steamy and everything. What does Joseph do now?
Hopefully not accidentally break his violin. That's probably what he'll be doing to calm down for at least an hour.
Okay. And David.
David's gonna kind of silently fume for a little while. And, after that, he's, gonna kind of be at a loss for what to do.
Alright! It means that Byron Rand and Marcus Paulson take center stage as they make their way to Elysium.
Time to party.
Go, Byron Rand. Go to Elysium with your friend. Party in the faces. Well, as it turns out, Elysium's pretty quiet too. You guys definitely would have noticed messages that were not important enough to check, but just as I mentioned, definitely word and noise has been spreading about the attack that happened, and about the role that Byron Rand, Marcus Paulson, and to a larger extent David Green played in it. You know, word's starting to get around about that crazy Nosferatu guy who apparently caught a tentacle and saved the High Regent himself. As for Madison Square Garden itself, there's Elysium security force is still out. It's been significantly diminished, but they're definitely out keeping Kine at bay. Doesn't look like there's any super cool awesome event going around, though. It appears that the attack sort of might have scared people away still.
Well, I'll ask one of the Elysium security guards if they've seen Theo.
I think he's upstairs in the box, Marcus.
Well, then Marcus will go up there and see if he's there.
Yep. Let's head on up.
Alright, you get to the box. Theo is not there. All of the papers are, though, but not Theo.
Is there a post-it around here somewhere?
It can take some searching and pushing of papers, and oh shit, the folder fell. There is an unused one, yes.
Well, Byron was not going to be shoving papers around. He was hoping there's just a surface he could write a note on. If he can't see anything, he just will figure something out.
No, Marcus climbed to the desk and then sat in the chair. Shit's pushed now. Strewn around.
I'll clean it up, don't worry about it. And there's probably nothing here that's too important to the Archon.
Byron looks unconvinced. Alrighty then. I mean, he was going to throw you out that window just a few days ago, and well, okay.
He still is. Last I heard, he still is. It's just I'm just taking a rain check.
Fair enough.
Is there anything in the paper? Well, I mean, I'm gonna pick the papers off the ground. Is there anything that catches my eye immediately, or is it all just like boring political bullshit?
It's so boring. Ugh. Nothing artistic or valuable about this shit at all.
Not even good handwriting or type or script.
It's so hard to even read. My God, you'd had to put on the the beer goggles just to have a chance to decipher this script.
Does that mean it's like really dry, or it's like in a different language?
It's just really dry. It's Marcus does not jive with it.
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of this shit.
Byron will glance at it, but he's not really going to pay too much attention. But, I mean, if something jumps out at him, he'll take notice. But
Blah, blah, scouting report, East River's clear, walked through it yesterday, blah, 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 checked the bridge, no one came, blah, blah.
Right. So he's going to leave a message on a Post-it. It's going to read, and he's going to show Marcus what he's doing, and so Marcus can voice his opinion. But he's going to say, Commissioner Gressman, what was it? Dominique Gressman has been ghouled by Jermaine Wallace, supposedly under orders of the Anarchs. Just a heads up. And Byron will sign it and leave his phone number.
Well, want to rock around Madison Square Garden to see if anyone else is here besides the security guards? I kind of want to see what they did to the place where that thing was. You know, the basketball arena.
The basketball arena.
You know, the place where the Knickerbockers play.
You know, the one that he can see right outside the window of the box.
No, I just thought that he called it an arena.
Yeah.
Byron also, he'll tear it off. He'll rewrite it. He'll say the same thing, but then he'll say, and yes, this means that, I guess let's take multiple Post-its. These are pretty small, so it's going to be like a second Post-it next to the other one. Yeah, this means that Jermaine Wallace is a vampire, and the last known acquaintance was Sublet Cerveni. Just a little worrisome.
But Sublet's dead, right?
As far as we know. But it does mean he's perhaps a Generation 7 Samitsi just wandering around ghoulifying people. I mean, that can't be good, can it?
So, is the arena floor still, like, ripped apart?
Nope. No blood, no gore, no smashing from the bleachers. Looks like everything has been perfectly repaired and restored, although really Marcus didn't see how it looked after it had been smashed up and bloodified into pieces anyway.
I mean, he was just assuming there'd be some damage. He didn't mean like there'd be like.
Looks like everything has been fixed.
Maybe that thing wasn't so bad after all.
He says hopefully we're not believing a word he says.
Yep. Okay, Byron. You want to see if someone else is here? Like maybe, I don't know, Valentine. I doubt he'll be here, but maybe he's here.
Yeah, we can ask around while we're here. Might as well, I suppose.
So it turns out, as you guys were making your way to the box, you didn't actually see anyone here but the security force. As a matter of fact, they might be stretched so thin, there weren't even any guards posted on the front access of the Archon's door, so you could just walk in. Going back through Madison Square Garden, there are no kindred here beyond you two and the ESF.
Well, Byron, I don't know about you, but just writing a note doesn't really sit well with me. I feel like we need to tell someone who's, got some pull in the city.
Well, we can go to see Carter Vanderweyden. That's the only person. I mean, Valentine really isn't in a place to do anything about this anyway. He's just going to look at us like, why are you coming to me? But Carter might want to know that the Anarchs are making inroads since they're affiliated with Marlena.
A glasses-wearing, jacket-wielding, cap sitting on top of his head, badass motherfucking Archon, opens the door, sees the two of you, blinks.
Oh, Archon, I was just leaving you a note.
The Archon slowly looks from Byron to Marcus.
Right. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not sure if David ever got into contact with you yesterday about this. He said he was going to come back.
Is this about him? I told him that he shouldn't go down to Sevalod's domain by himself. If you're going to tell me that he's in torpor again, I don't have the stone. I gave it to the Justicar. I can't help him.
What? He went back down below Central Park?
That's what he told me. He stopped by yesterday, asked for my permission.
This is the first we've of it.
Yeah, we didn't know. He was undead and well.
Theosize, this is like the time when apparently I was the one who had to break the news about the fact that he actually wasn't in torpor. I tell you what, we're just going to forget about this whole encounter, the fact that you're in the office, and the fact that I walked in. You just walk out and scold your coterie mate once again about this. All right?
That's actually not why we're here, though. We had something entirely different.
I'm sure you did, but this sounds more important for you.
Not really.
The Archon does not look like he's joking.
Disengage himself from whatever's going on.
Yeah, as long as you don't think the Anarchs making inroads into Queens is important, no big deal. We can go.
The expression on Theo's face doesn't change at all. So you're telling me something I already... Alright, we're going to try this again. Now, you're going to leave and try to find a way to deal with your coterie mate. And I'm going to sit at my desk, and I'm going to get back to work analyzing scout reports. Do we understand ourselves?
So does the name Dominic Gressman mean anything to you?
Theo looks at Marcus. It's one of those, like he's almost teeter on the vacuous sheriff, jaw-dropping, staring at Byron like, I can't just believe you did that. We're going to try this one more time. Because I like you so much. You've done great things for the city. Get out.
Fine. On his way out, Byron will just say, I'm Jermaine Wallace, Gould Gressman, and if he's a vampire, very possibly he is
out.
a child of Sevalod. He's out. He left. He just said that. I mean, the Post-it notes are still on the desk, so...
I mean, that was a much smaller foot sandwich than he normally eats.
The door slams shut, actually reverberating through the walls behind the two as they leave.
I wonder what his problem was. I mean, he says that out loud.
Dealing with the shit in this...
Yelling from behind the door, Ventru, if you want to keep your domain in the city, you leave!
Well, at least he knows now, so I can, you know, at least rest better now.
Apparently. All right. Well, this is fun.
Well, we should probably still tell Carter Vanderweyden, because at this point I trust him more than I trust Marlena.
You guys aren't still talking in front of his door, are you?
No.
Marcus has been walking away at this point.
I just wanted to make sure.
You know, we should probably go tell Poloni about this, you know? He might want to know. Marcus is literally just walking. He's like, I think we should tell Carter still. After we deal with this David issue.
Yeah. All right. Well, Byron will, once he gets to the foyer, he'll make like he's pulling out his phone and just to call to group call everyone. Well, group call everyone but Marcus. He's just going to say, "All right, I think we need to. Well, actually, probably someplace more private. We better." He'll wait and say, "All right, let's head back to Astoria and see if we can get in touch with everyone."